Module number 3. In this module, we have 3 lessons which you can see here: managing Azure resources using ARM template, PowerShell, CLI. Correct. Let me show you one by one lessons. So first lesson, configuring Azure resources with tools. When it comes to tools, what it does mean by tools? So assume this would be Azure Cloud. And when it comes to making different API calls, so we can access and manage Azure through Portal, that means through web. We can manage through PowerShell. We can manage through CLI. We can manage through ARM template, using ARM template. So we can make different type of API calls and we would be able to manage those services. So Portal, Web UI, PowerShell means from my local system, which will be connected to internet. And on my local system, I'm going to use my local system PowerShell, which I'm going to integrate with Azure services like AZ module, .NET Framework 4.7 or later, PowerShell version 5.1 or later. This would be prerequisite dependencies to use local system PowerShell. Or I can use CLI command prompt, local system command prompt, where I need to download Azure tool, AZ CLI tool on my local system. Then I would be able to make calls from my local system to Azure Cloud. Correct? If my local system is not compatible with PowerShell and CLI, in that case, I will use Cloud Shell. In that case, I will use Cloud Shell to manage my resources. I can execute PowerShell or CLI commands into my browser when my local system is not compatible. So we are going to use tools one by one. So first, I'm going to show you integration for local system. Second, I'm going to show you integration, local system PowerShell, CLI. Third, Cloud Shell. And then fourth, we will test ARM template. Correct? So let's start this lesson. Administration tool, which you can see here, Portal, web tool. So you can view and manage your resources. You can visualize your interface, unified hub. So training and documentation you will get from search bar. Personalize your experience by creating dashboards. Mobile application. So through mobile application also you can access Azure services into your mobile. Access the Cloud Shell. So you can access Cloud Shell through Portal where you would be able to execute your commands. One of creation scenarios when it comes to Cloud Shell. So it's an interactive and browser accessible shell where you will get Bash or PowerShell. At a time, you can only use one tool, either Bash or PowerShell. Bash is CLI, PowerShell is simply PowerShell, where you can execute PowerShell commands and scripts. Offer Bash or PowerShell authenticates automatically. What it does mean, if I'm going to use my local system PowerShell or CLI, I have to authenticate first of all myself. Here, it will automatically authenticate using your credentials. Provided one user per use session per user basis. Temporary timeout, it means if you're not interacting with Cloud Shell more than 20 minutes, it will automatically sign out. CLI and PowerShell, local system CLI and PowerShell, where you can execute your commands. So command line program, interactive and scripting mode, cross-platform support, good for repeatable deployments, familiar coding experience where you can write your scripts, you can deploy your resources using JSON template as well through PowerShell and CLI. Demonstration, so how we will customize our dashboard, I already shown you, correct, from where we can locate our resources, support and help tickets. I already explained you in day one. Cloud Shell, so how we will use Cloud Shell, I'm going to show you. Again, if you are going to perform lab along with me, I would request all of you to confirm in the chat box if you are going to perform lab along with me. So I need one participant who can share screen so that I will guide you how you will set up your Cloud Shell. Otherwise, just because in my account I already used Cloud Shell. Correct? So few settings you will not get into my account. Just because I already configured. Okay, let me switch to different account so that I can show you. Let me show you here. So here you can see we have a Cloud Shell icon. Right to this search bar, you will get Cloud Shell. You need to click on Cloud Shell. So Ashwini is performing lab along with me only, correct? What about others? So whenever you will click on Cloud Shell, you will get a pop-up here, which you can see, in which you will get two terminals, Bash and PowerShell. You can select any terminal, correct? And we can change our terminal at any time. So assume I'm going to select Bash first. Let me click on Bash. So whenever you will select a terminal, it will ask you to create a storage account. Why? Just because we can create scripts, we can create deployments, which we can store. And when it comes to storing, we need a storage. So that's why you have to create a storage. So click on create storage just because right now we don't know anything about storage account into Azure. So simply click on create storage and it will start creating storage with recommended settings. And once it will be completed, you will get your command prompt. Yes, Sangram.
I clicked on the Cloud Shell. It took me directly to requesting a Cloud Shell, succeeded, connecting to terminal, and then type AZ to use Azure CLI, type help, and then verbose authenticating to Azure. Then the other one was building your Azure drive.
So
Why
I
so?
hope previously you used your Cloud Shell terminal. That's
All
why.
right. Okay, okay.
Correct. So it means previously you used your terminal.
Mm-hmm. All right. Thank you.
From Okay, so as you can see now I'm connected to my Bash terminal where I can execute Bash commands. Correct. Now let me show you if we have to list all the resource groups which we have into our account. So we can execute one command here which would be AZ group. Your command will start with AZ. AZ means Azure. Then space resource name group. Then space list. Correct. And press enter. It will list all the resource groups which you can see. But again, you will get your default output into JSON. The default output is JSON. If you can read, again, JSON is a human readable format. It would be great. Otherwise, you can change your output into table as well, like AZ space group space list, then space double hyphen output space table. You would be able to see it will list your resource group into table output. We have to, again, it would be difficult for all of us to remember commands. So on Microsoft documentation, you will get, that is on Microsoft web link, documentation link, where you will get command references, syntaxes, which you can use and you can customize as per your requirement. Next command, which I'm going to show you how to create a resource group using Cloud Shell. So AZ space, AZ means Azure, then which resource I'm going to create? Resource group. So resource name group. Then action which I'm going to perform, create. Then space where I'm going to create this resource group, that is location -L, which will define my location. Argument will be -L. Then location name West US. Then space -N. Resource group name. Resource group name will be my RG CLI. Press enter, it will be created through CLI. If you want, again, once your deployment will be done in command prompt or PowerShell, you have to check one thing, provisioning state. It should be succeeded. It means it's created successfully. Again, you can repeat your previously used command to list all the resource groups. You would be able to see here my RG CLI now, which is available here. If we have to delete resource group, we'll use command again AZ, then space, group, then action, delete, then space, -name of your resource group which you want to delete, my RG CLI. Press enter, you have to confirm. So type Y to confirm and it will be deleted from your subscription. So that's how you can create, list and delete resources through Cloud Shell using commands. Correct, but you should have knowledge of commands. Now assume now I'm going to use, let me copy and paste all these commands into a chat box, which you can use.
If we have the same resource group name in different locations, then we'll have to mention a location in that command.
No, we can create only one resource group with one name.
Okay. And different locations, you mean?
Yeah. Resource group name should be unique.
It will be unique. It has to be.
So commands are available into your chat box where you can see all the commands which I executed. Now let me show you how we will use PowerShell commands. So left hand side on Cloud Shell window, left hand side top, you can see there's a drop down on Bash. If you click on drop down, you will get option to PowerShell. So you can switch anytime in between PowerShell and Bash. So now I'm going to switch my terminal to PowerShell. So what is PowerShell? So PowerShell is your terminal where you will execute your commands into verb and noun format. Correct? Like if I have to create any resource using PowerShell, so my command will start with new, then hyphen, my module name. Module means resource service name. So module means AZ. AZ is my service, Azure. So new Azure, which resource? If I'm going to create virtual machine, then virtual machine, virtual network, resource group, and after then arguments. Similarly, if I'm going to get properties of my existing resource, if I'm retrieving existing resources and the properties, I will use get command into PowerShell. Get -ez and then resource name, service name. If I'm going to modify something, I will use set command, set -ez. If I'm going to delete any resource, I will use remove command, remove -ez. So it's a verb and noun format, PowerShell, simple. And you, if again you have to work on PowerShell, you should have some experience so that you can execute and test PowerShell command. Let me show you a few basic command here. First, I'm going to retrieve my resource group information. So get -ez, then resource group. This would be the command. If I will execute this command, it will list all the resource groups under my account in different subscriptions, which you can see here. Correct. Now, if I have to create new resource group, so new -az resource group, it means I'm going to create new resource group where -location will be East US space -name of resource group. So my RGPS1, my resource group, PowerShell 1. Press enter, it will create new resource group. Let me copy and paste this command into chat box. If I will repeat my command, get -az resource group, you would be able to see my RGPS1 now, which is available here. Again, what I can do, I can run next command, remove -az resource group space -name ps my RGPS1. Press enter, confirm, type Y, it will be deleted. I hope Cloud Shell is clear to everyone. How you will use Bash or CLI terminal. If you have any query, you can ask a question.
About the Azure module in PowerShell?
By default,
Not
you will
on
get
the
Azure
portal, I
module.
mean, not on the portal, on the local workstation.
Local system, I'll show you how we will use. Okay. What about others? Any query related to Cloud Shell? On Cloud Shell, no need to authenticate and no need to download any module. By default, you will get Azure module installed into Cloud Shell and you will be authenticated with your currently signed in user's credential. Correct? Now, if you will see right hand side to this PowerShell icon, we have a power button where I can restart my Cloud Shell at any time. Correct? Then next we have help tab where you would be able to get help and you will be redirected to help section. Next we have settings tab where we can customize our text, fonts, color. Then we have upload and download tab where I can upload scripts. I can download scripts. Like if I have to upload any document, I can click on upload and then I will be redirected to my local system where I can select any PowerShell command, any file. Let me select one PowerShell command script which you will upload. Once it will be uploaded, if you want to edit this script, then we have editor here which you can see. So you need to click on editor. Left hand side you will get your script which will be open here. Again you can edit the script as per your requirement. Once editing will be done and you need to save the script, then right hand side corner click, you will get option save or close editor. So you can save and close your editor and then you can use the script or the script using commands. So that is all about Cloud Shell and I hope this part is clear to everyone. If you have any query, you can ask a question. You can close Cloud Shell at any time and you can open Cloud Shell at any time. And you can switch in between Bash and PowerShell, correct? Now I'm going to show you how you will test local system integration. Local system integration. So Ashwini, you need to click on create storage. Click on create storage. First it will create storage. Then you would be able to use Cloud Shell terminals, correct? So it's creating, correct. So you have to wait for a few minutes now. Once it will be created, you will be switched to your terminal. Meanwhile, we are going to test local system, PowerShell integration and CLI integration. And again, this would be important topic when it comes to production environment, correct? Just because most of the time we are using our local system. So if you want to perform this lab along with me, confirm in the chat box so that I can slow down my pace and you all would be able to follow the steps. So to test this lab, what I'm going to do, just because I'm using Mac here and I already integrated this MacBook with Azure PowerShell and CLI. So what I'm going to do to test this lab, I'm going to create a virtual machine in which I'm going to test integration, correct? And let me show. So I'm inside my account. Let me search here, virtual machine. So great, you are connected to Bash. Actually, now you can execute Bash commands, which I shared in the chat box. Now I would request you to follow this task where we are going to integrate local system, PowerShell and CLI, correct? So search virtual machine from search bar into your account, then go to virtual machine console and click on create Azure virtual machine. Click on create Azure virtual machine. Resource group, I'm going to create new resource group. Resource group name will be M3RG1. Module 3 resource group 1. Let me click on OK. Virtual machine name. So virtual machine name will be VM1. You can give any name, totally up to you. The reason, you can choose any reason. I'm going with Central India. You can choose any reason. Then availability option, I'm going to select here no infrastructure redundancy required. Availability option is high availability option, HA, to increase SLA of your virtual machine. So in availability option, we are going to select no infrastructure redundancy required, as I'm going to create only one virtual machine. So creating one VM means you will get default SLA which will be provided by Microsoft. Security type, leave as it is. Image, I'm going to use here Windows Server 2022 Data Center Azure Edition. Correct. You can select any Windows Server operating system. I'm going with Windows Server 2022 Data Center Azure Edition. Then scroll down, you have to give a username and password to your virtual machine, which I'm going to give here. Username will be student for my virtual machine and password should be 12 character minimum, maximum 123 character you can assign and should be complex. So let me assign one password to my virtual machine and let's confirm password for your virtual machine. We have to only configure this basic tab for virtual machine. Other tabs we will discuss in different modules, networking modules, compute modules, correct? So let me again explain you. First you have to select a resource group or you have to create a new resource group. Then virtual machine name. After that you have to select a reason. Then you have to select no infrastructure redundancy required into availability option. Security type, leave as it is. Under image you will select Windows Server 2022 Data Center Azure Edition. Scroll down, type a username and password for your virtual machine. Password will be 12 character and should be complex. Scroll down, click on review and create. Review and create. Virtual machine deployment will be start. You will get some pricing here, which you can see. Hourly price 15 rupees something for this size, which I selected, and which will be deducted from your free credit. You all have $200 credit into free tier. So whatever amount will be deducted, it will be deducted from your free credit only. Virtual machine deployment will be start and it will be completed in few seconds. So let's wait for deployment to be complete.
Along with this operating system, whatever we select, like Windows 2022 data center or standard maybe, do we have a SQL version as well attached to
Yes, so
that?
you will get SQL and other versions from Marketplace, Sangram.
Okay.
If
Mhm.
you will go to Marketplace, like if I'm going to three tiles and I will click
Mhm.
on create a resource, if I'll
Mhm.
search here SQL database, correct?
Mhm.
So you can
Yeah,
see here
2022
SQL
also
database server.
available. Yeah,
Yes, yes. So you will get in recommendation, you will get all the
latest.
servers,
Yeah, all the latest ones are available.
correct?
All right, because we are using 22 at the moment.
So deployment is done for me. Now let me go to my virtual machine console where you would be able to see I have VM1. Let me open this VM1 and let me connect this VM1. So you need to click on your virtual machine and then there is a tab in center connect so that you can remotely connect your virtual machine. Click on connect. Then we have option native RDP. Follow my cursor. Click on select. Right hand side you will get pop-up which will validate your configuration. That means your port number protocol. It should be configured into firewall. And there is a firewall associated with your virtual machine which is known as NSG, Network Security Group, which is configured. That is okay. Click on download RDP file and let me download to my desktop. And let's run this RDP file which I downloaded. Type your username and password which you assign to your virtual machine while deploying your VM. Click on continue. Continue to accept your RDP certificate. As you can see my Windows virtual machine which is connected here now on Mac. And now I'm going to show you lab for integration of local system PowerShell and CLI. So now we have to assume this virtual machine is our local system, local Windows system, where we are going to execute PowerShell scripts or CLI commands, correct? So how we will execute and how we will integrate. So first of all, let me show you if I'm going to search here PowerShell into my local system, that means inside my virtual machine. So let me search here PowerShell. Let me run as administrator. So right click on PowerShell, run as administrator. So to access and execute commands, first you need to authenticate yourself from your local system. And to authenticate, you will use a command which will be connect-az account. As you can see, I don't have any AZ module on this virtual machine. And that's why I cannot execute this command. So we have few commands like connect-az account or login-az account. Correct. So let me check login as well. So login-az account. No, there's no command. I will get error here. There's no module available. No worries. So we are going to download modules. How we will download modules? I'm going to show you. So I organized all these commands into a file which you can see into a steps. Let me copy and paste all these steps into the chat box as well so that later you can use these commands. And I would request all of you to save all these commands into Notepad or into your local system. So whenever you want to integrate your local system, you can easily integrate. Let me show you one by one how we will do that. First of all, I have to check my PowerShell version. So I will use first command, $ps version table. Paste this command, press enter. It will list your PowerShell version, which you can see 5.1, which is the minimum requirement. Correct. Now, second command, we are going to create TLS connection. encrypted connection, so that whatever modules we are going to download, we are going to download through a encrypted channel. So paste this command and then press enter. It will create a TLS connection. Second, next command, to install package provider Nugget. So Nugget is a package provider who will provide .NET packages which we have to install inside our local system using this command. Press this command. Wait for command to be complete. As you can see, command is completed here. Now go back to your file, copy third command to install PowerShell Gallery. So PowerShell Gallery, which we have to install, it's a module in which you will get your AZ module, and it should be installed first. So third command which we are executing, install -module -name PowerShell Gallery. We have to wait for installation to be complete. Now installation is complete for third command. Then next we have to install AZ module. So let me copy fourth command. Let me paste fourth command here, which you can see here, install -module -name AZ, scope, current user, repository, PowerShell Gallery. Press enter. Now installing AZ module, it can take up to 7 or 10 minutes, correct? So we have to wait now. Just because it will download all the AZ modules inside your local system. Meanwhile, what we are going to do, we are going to check from where you will get all these information, correct? Just because I shared commands, just because I already organized all these commands, so that you don't have to scroll and search on web. Let me show you from where you will get help on Microsoft documentation. So you need to open browser, and into your browser you have to search. Let me switch to Google first. And in your browser you have to search download Azure PowerShell and SDK. This would be your keyword. First link which you can see here, download Azure SDKs and tools. You have to navigate this website. Click on it and let me copy and paste URL link for this website into the chat box, which you can save into your local system. Now here you can see we have two tabs on this website, SDKs and tools. SDKs means being a developer, if I'm going to make any API call through .NET, Java, PHP, Python, Ruby, I need SDKs, correct? Which you will get from here for Azure. If I'm going to make any API call through tools, so left hand side you have tools tab as well. You will click on tools. Now which tool you are going to use, Azure CLI, PowerShell. If you are going to use PowerShell, then click on install PowerShell and you will be redirected to PowerShell documentation and steps, and you will get all the commands. If I'm going with CLI, so next step, we are going to use CLI, and that's why I'm showing you this website. So I will click on Azure CLI, click on install. You will be redirected to next page where you can see on which operating system you are going to install this CLI tool. On Windows, Linux, Macs. On Linux we have different distributions. So right now I'm using Windows, so I will select here install on Windows. So click on install on Windows, then you will be redirected to next tab where you will get latest release based on your operating system. So I'm going with 64-bit. So let me select the latest release of Azure CLI 64-bit and it will be downloaded inside your local system, as you can see. So downloading will be start. Wait for downloading to be complete. Once it will be completed, you can run this tool. Like I'm going to run this tool. So run this MSI file. Installation will be start. Installation is very simple for CLI. Select your agreement Accept agreement, click on install, and it will be installed inside your local system, and you would be able to execute your commands from local system. Now let's wait. Again, so this would be the website from where you would be able to navigate, and you can check your tools, commands for PowerShell, CLI, and other tools. As you can see, installation for AZ module, which is going on. CLI installation will be also done. And as we are using Windows Server 2022, .NET Framework will be installed inside this operating system. So no need to install .NET Framework. If you are getting any error related to authentication, it means after installing these tools, if you are getting error for authentication, it means .NET Framework is not installed inside your system. So you have to install manually .NET Framework, which should be 4.7 or later, in where you can see AZ modules are now installed. And CLI tool is also installed. So let's wait for PowerShell module to be installed. Meanwhile, what I'm going to do, I'm going to show you command prompt. So as CLI tool is installed, so we have to search cmd on local system and run as administrator. And here, first we will authenticate ourselves. We will connect our account. So we will use az space login. This would be the command which you will execute on your local system command prompt to connect your Azure account. Press enter. You will be redirected to your browser where you can see you have to type your email ID. Let me type my email ID and then password. So you have to type your Azure account ID and password. As you can see, you have logged into Microsoft Azure. Go back to your command prompt, and here you will be connected to your Azure account, and you will get output also. Subscription not found. So if you are getting this message, again, comes to troubleshooting part. If you are getting this message, subscription not found, what it does mean? It means you have multiple tenants into your Azure account, correct? And if you want to log in into your tenant where you have subscription, where you can manage your resources, then you should use this command. Az login --tenant, and let me show you how we will do that. As you can see, whenever you will connect your Azure account, it will give you output with your subscription, your email ID, correct, which I'm not getting. I'm getting here warning and error. So just because I'm connected into my custom tenant, let me paste this command here, and then let me go to my portal. Let me go to Microsoft Entra ID, and let me copy my Entra ID, tenant ID, and let's paste inside this command. So now command is az space login, then --tenant, then space tenant ID. If you have multiple tenants into your organization, then you have to define tenant ID also. In which tenant you want to manage your resources. Press enter. Again, you need to sign in with your account, ID and password. So verify your account. Verification is done. Go back to command prompt. As you can see, now I'm connected to my account, and where I'm able to see my tenant ID, my subscription name, subscription ID, correct, and my email ID. Now I can manage my resources through my local system command prompt into Azure. How? Let me show you again those commands which we previously executed. Az space group space list space double hyphen output table. As you can see, I'm able to retrieve information of resource groups. If I have to create new resource group, then az space group space create space hyphen L east US, then space hyphen N my RG CLI. I'm able to create resource group. Let me repeat my command to list resource group. As you can see, my RG CLI is available. That's how we can manage now resources using commands through command prompt. And you should have knowledge of commands now. You need to remember commands, or you need to find command from documentation, which you will get from here as a CLI reference document. So whenever you will sign in through command prompt, you will be redirected to CLI reference documentation, where if you will scroll down, let me check. Reference for CLI A to Z. Here you will get all the commands. So you have to select your service resource which you want to manage using command prompt, and you will get all the reference commands. So if I have to manage disk, I will select AZ disk, and you will get all the syntaxes. So how you will create Azure disk, how you will delete disk, how you will give access to someone, how you will list your disk. So you will get all the command syntaxes here. Let me share this link in the chat box, which you can save for your future reference. Next, let's check how we will manage PowerShell. So before going to execute PowerShell command, if you remember, we have last command. So remote scripting is disabled into all Windows Server, which we need to enable using this command. So copy and paste last command once your modules will be installed. Set execution policy, remote sign, type capital A to accept all. Now remote scripting will be enabled. We would be able to now manage Azure resources. So first we need to authenticate ourselves. We will execute command. Let me clear my terminal first. Login -az account. Press enter. So in Windows Server, what happens by default, your authentication request will be sent inside the Internet Explorer, where JavaScript is not supported. And inside this PowerShell authentication, JavaScript is required. That means as browser is required basically. So sometimes you will get error if you are using Windows Server. In Windows client, by default we have as browser, correct? So you will not get this issue into Windows client. So let me correct my command and let me write a different command here, which you can see this command, device authentication command. So connect-az account, then space, use device authentication rather than browser. Press enter. There you can see you will get a link. So simply you have to copy this link. Now your authentication request will be not sent inside the browser. You will get a link which you can copy and paste into any browser. Otherwise, it will use as Microsoft Internet Explorer browser for authentication request, which doesn't support JavaScript, and you will get error. So let me copy and paste this link here. It will ask one code. Go to PowerShell. You have code here. So copy this code and paste into your browser. Next, log in with your user account. As you can see, now I'm connected to my account. I'm getting an output in which I'm getting my subscription ID, my account email ID, my tenant ID. It means I'm connected to my account and I can execute all PowerShell commands. So get-az resource group, and you would be able to see it will list all the resource groups. We are done with this. If you have any query, you can ask the question. And I would request all of you to test this lab just because in production we will use this lab. You have to configure your local system for PowerShell and CLI. If you have any query, you can ask a question, and we are done with this lab. I hope this part is clear to everyone, how to integrate CLI and PowerShell on local system.
Hello, it's Erica. I have a question about the steps of the installation. The last one you said set execution policy, execution policy remote sign. So if you didn't do this, you're not able to remote sign in using this command prompt, because I saw you did it before this step anyway. So why you need number 5?
So just because into Windows PowerShell, Windows Server and client PowerShell, remote scripting is by default disabled. So if you will execute any command, it will not work, like authentication and other commands, correct? So first we need to enable remote scripting into PowerShell, and which I enabled. I executed that command. You're talking about this command, the last command.
Right. But I see you could get the resources without number 5 before, like when you did number 1 to number 4, you were able to see all the resources, things like that. So I wonder why this extra step, what's the difference between number 5 and the other
I
steps?
I can execute this command at any level. But before starting any command, I can run this command, the last command. But I arranged all these commands into a queue so that we would be able to execute all these commands one by one. Otherwise, on documentation, the link which I shared in the chat box, if you will read that link. So let me show you from that browser. If I go to Azure PowerShell installation, this would be the first command which I have to execute. Install on Windows. Here you can see PowerShell version, ARM module, exec execution, which you can see, the first command. Correct. To enable remote sign.
Okay.
Hope that is clear. So I will upload reference commands into a Google Drive, and you will get all the commands on your LMS portal as well. Correct. So which you can test into your lab practice. and I will provide you offline labs as well for both modules, module number 1 and module number 2. And I would request all of you to test your labs, offline labs as well, in which you will get steps and lab objectives. Correct. When it comes to certification, so you should have at least hands-on knowledge on Microsoft Azure, and you should perform your lab practice at least 3 to 4 times, so that whenever you will get a question into your certification, you can easily pick a correct answer. Because all answers look like same, and you need to pick one correct answer. So if you have hands-on knowledge on Azure, you would be able to crack your certification very easily. Correct. Any query related to this PowerShell and CLI, you can ask your question as we are done for this lab. So next lesson is configuring resources with ARM templates. What it is. Again, as we can deploy resources through Portal, through PowerShell, CLI, when it comes to automation into Azure. Correct. We have different automation third-party tools as well, like we can use Terraform, Jenkins, Ansible. Similar to that, when it comes to Azure tool, we have ARM templates, which we can use for automation purpose, and it supports JSON. JSON language, which is a key and value document. So when it comes to template advantages, first, it improves consistency and promote reuse. Any idea how it will improve consistency when it comes to using template? Any idea, anyone? How template will improve consistency? So just because template will be written into JSON, and which would be common language for all the developers, correct? So it will improve consistency, and we can reuse a template into multiple departments and multiple deployments. Reduce manual, error-prone task, and repetitive task. So you can create one template for one department, for one task, which you can repeat and you can reuse multiple times. Express complex deployment. When you are going to deploy a complex application, 3-tier application, so you can express your complex deployment as a code. Express your requirement through code. Provide validation task. Modular and can be linked. We can create smaller templates which we can link into one template that is called modular and linked. Simplify orchestration. It will simplify your orchestration. You would be able to orchestrate your deployment. You can automate your deployment using ARM templates into Microsoft Azure. Schema, when it comes to template schema, so I can write a JSON template for AWS, for Azure, and for Google Cloud. But how it will be different, so you will get a schema. So for each template, you will get some, for each technology, you will get schema, which will define parameters for that particular technology. So if I'm writing a template for Microsoft Azure, I'm template into JSON. So it will pick a schema which will define that this template is designed for Microsoft Azure. So define all the resource managers in a deployment written into JSON. What is JSON? JSON is a collection and key and value pair. Each key is a string, but value would be string, number, Boolean expressions, list of value and objects, which would be values, which we can use. When it comes to writing template, again into administration phase, we are not going to learn coding languages, correct? Yeah, we are going to understand, being an administrator, we are going to understand if we have to deploy any template into Azure, which is designed by our developer team, how we will deploy that template into Microsoft Azure, being administrator, correct? Parameters. So in template, you will define parameters. Now, what is parameters? So parameters would be values which would be configurable whenever you will execute that template. So those values will be configurable at that time. Like I created one virtual machine template which I can execute into dev, into test, and into prod. Same template. into multiple departments. So when I'm executing this template into dev environment, so username and password for virtual machine will be different. In test, username and password, it should be different into test environment. Username and password should be different into production environment. So username and password, which comes under now parameters section into my template, which will be configurable. So whenever you will execute this template in any department, it will ask you to provide username and password, which you will provide. That is called configurable settings. That is known as parameters, which you can customize based on your requirement. So configure Azure bicep files. Again, it's a simpler syntax writing templates, which will write syntaxes for your template. Smaller modules file you can reference for main template, in which you will provide smaller modules, which you can link to your main file. Again, modular and linked, like you can see here, a bicep file for storage account, in which we define my storage account name, location, tags, kind, SKU. That is also known as, there are two types of file which you will get: main file, template.json, and parameter.json. This parameter.json is known as a biceps file. Automatically detect dependencies between your resources, Visual Studio Code extension with validation and Intel. So you can create bicep file which will help your main deployment, and values which you want to provide, you can link into that template in this bicep file. Now we have an example of quick start template gallery, which you can see, where you will get sample templates, because being the administrator, we are not going to write any template, correct? We are not going to write any code. What we are going to do, we are going to deploy resources using template. So I'm going to show you more than that so that you can understand this template concept, correct? Let me show you. So assume I'm going to create a resource through portal. Now being an administrator, assume one situation where you have to provide a template to your development team, correct? But you don't know how to write a template in JSON. So simply what you can do a smart swap. Just because whenever you will deploy any resource into portal, it will automatically write a backend code into JSON, which you can download and which you can share with your teams, correct? So assume I have to create a disk through template. So I will search disk service from portal. As you can see, you will get disk here. So create a disk using portal. So click on create. Resource group, I'm going to use here RG1. Disk name will be disk 1. Then region, Central India. Availability zone, I'm going to select a no infrastructure redundancy required. Source type is none. It means I'm creating a empty disk, raw disk. If you have some backup, snapshot, you can create your disk through snapshot or backup as well, which I don't have. So I'm creating an empty disk. That's why source type will be none here. Size of your disk. So click on change size and let me select here 4 GB, and this would be your performance method of your disk, like premium, standard, and standard HDD. I'm going with standard HDD, that is normal magnetic drive, in which you will get throughput, balance throughput, and balance IOPS. Let me click on OK. And let me click on review and create. The rest step I'm leaving as it is. Click on review. So whenever you will click on review, here, as you can see at bottom, you will get a template for automation. So sometime what happens, you will skip this option and let me click on create. Deployment will be start. I forget to download my template. So deployment will be start and it will be complete. On this deployment page, left hand side, you will get option template again. So click on templates tab, where you can see we have option to download. Click on download. And let me download this template on my local system, which you can see it will be downloaded into zip file. Let me extract this file. Now inside this folder, I will get two files, parameter.json and template.json, which I can use for now automation. How? Let me show you. So now I have a template on my local system, which I downloaded, correct, for disk. which I need to use and I need to deploy a disk. Let me show you right now. I have only one disk into my account. Correct. So I'm going to create a disk using template. So let me search here, template into search bar. You can see there is a service, deploy a custom template. Click on it. Then if you want sample templates, you can see you will get a sample template for Linux, for Windows, for web app, for SQL database, for Azure storage account. I have already a template on my local system. I will use first option, build your own template in the editor. So click on it. It will ask you to write your template into editor, or if you already have on your local system, then there is a load file option. Click on load file, go to your local system and browse your template. So there are two files, parameters.json and template.json. So first you have to upload template.json file, which would be your main file. Template.json, which you can see, which I uploaded here. Now in this file, you need to read this file. Again, it's a human readable format. So disk name, location, SKU, disk size in GB, source resource ID, which you can see here, line number 17. So source resource ID means source type. So source type should be none. So let me remove these lines, line number 17, 18, and 19. Just because I'm creating an empty disk. Let me save this. This would be my template file. As you can see, we have to provide all these values here. Correct? If you know, then edit your template. If you don't know, so you remember we downloaded a parameter file also, in which you will get all the values which you can again edit. So there is an option, edit parameter. Click on edit parameter and load your parameter file which you downloaded, parameter.json. It will be now uploaded. As you can see, you're getting value for disk name. So change like this too. Or let me change to Sanjay disk. Correct. Location Central India. If you want, you can change your location to East US. SKU, I'm going with same size. Let me change size to 8 GB. Source resource ID. No, it's an empty disk. Let me remove these lines, 17, 18, 19. Rest I'm leaving as it is. Hyper-V version, it should be V1. Version 1, then click on save. All the values which you can see that are updated in your template section. Now you have to simply select one resource group in which you are going to deploy this template. As you can see, region will be East US, disk name will be Sanjay disk. Again, location will be East US, performance method will be standard LRS, size 8 GB, disk will be empty, Hyper-V version will be V1. Click on review. It will validate your template. If validation will be done, you can create this resource using template. So if you don't know how to write a template, simply create your resource through portal first. And whenever you will deploy any resource through portal, Microsoft will write a JSON template into backend, into background for you, which you can download and you can customize for your deployments. Hope that is clear to everyone. If you have any query, you can ask a question. As you can see, my deployment is done. If we need sample templates, what we will do, we'll go to our browser and we will search Azure Quick Start Templates, where you will get sample templates, Azure Quick Start Templates. Let me copy and paste this URL into chat box. You can save this URL for future reference. Where you can see on Quick Start Template Gallery, left hand side you will get categories. You have to select your category, and in center you have filter tab where you can search and you would be able to get one template. Like I'm going to search simple Windows. So as you can see, there would be a template, deploy a simple Windows VM. Let me select my category to Azure. To deploy a simple Windows VM with tags. As you can see, based on your keyword, you will get outputs which you can select. So I'm going with this template. Deploy a simple Windows VM tags. Select this template. It will be loaded into your Azure account. So here you can see deploy to Azure governance cloud, or you can visualize this template as well. I'm going to deploy to Azure. So click on deploy to Azure and template will be loaded inside your Azure account. So in which Azure account you have to select, just because I'm logged into multiple accounts. So as you can see, template is loaded here. It will create Windows Server 2019 data center. Correct. Department name will be my department. Application name will be my app, created by my name. That means you can change your name. If you want, if you have knowledge of JSON, you can customize this template. Visualize this, you can, whatever resources we are deploying through this template, you can visualize those resources. Similar to AWS Cloud Formation tool. Correct? We can visualize whatever deployment we are doing. So whatever resource will be created, we would be able to visualize those resources. So now again, if I have knowledge of JSON, I can edit this template anytime, which is loaded into my account. I'll click on edit template. Template will be loaded here. Where you can see Azure Bicep is there. Correct? You can change your operating system versions, which you can see. If you want, then your department name, which you can see, my department, I can change this name to dev. So my department will be dev. Now application name, my app, let me change this to Cognitia app, and then created by whom? Created by me. So let me change my name, Sanjay. So easily you can read JSON and you can replace your values. Simple. Correct. So resources, tags, you can change other things as well, which I'm not going to do right now. Let me click on save and let me change my parameters file, where you can see admin user name, which is null. So you should use double quote here, and in double quote you have to provide your value. So like student, username will be student, then password. So let me type password here. Simple. Let me click on save. As you can see now, template is updated. So created by Sanjay, application name, Cognitia app, department name, dev, operating system, Windows Server 2019. I can choose any operating system from the drop down. I can customize this option as well. Correct. Now I have to set a resource group in which I'm going to deploy this virtual machine. Click on review and create. And virtual machine deployment will be start. And your VM will be created using the template. So you can search templates from Quick Start Gallery as well. You can search templates from GitHub as well, which you can download or you can directly deploy to Azure. Correct? I hope this part is also clear to everyone how you will perform automation. Again, in respect to administrators, we are not going to write any code, any template. We will understand how to deploy template, which is provided by our development team. Correct? We are done with this module number 3. If you have any query, you can ask your question.
A snapshot of a server also can be reused, right?
Snapshot is what basically? Snapshot is kind of a point in time restore backup.
An image, yeah, an image.
An image. Yes, so we can reuse.
We can reuse, but we can reuse means we can just revert, or we can create another server from that using it as a template.
Well, it depends. Like if I took a snapshot of a disk, So I can restore on the same server or on a different server to retrieve my data. Correct? When it comes to servers, we will take create image. Correct? That is clone of that server. So which we can again create into any reason or any other account as well if I will share my image. But I can create multiple virtual machines using that image.
Yeah. Like we have certain operating systems which have already been unsupported now. Say 2008 R2 or 2012 R2 will be soon going away. So if we have something like that, we can just restore those disks on different servers with the latest operating systems, right?
We can do that.
And how about migration of servers from Azure to somewhere else, like maybe in vSphere client?
So you're migrating from Azure to vSphere or vSphere to Azure?
From Azure to vSphere.
Azure to vSphere, correct. That means cloud to on-premise, huh? Okay, so in that case, you can use Azure replication service or Azure migration service.
Is that possible?
Again, I need to check the white space.
Yes,
correct?
please. I would like to know that. Yeah.
Just because from on-premise to cloud, we are doing that migration. So where we are doing, we are assessing our resources.
That has happened.
Yeah. So for cloud to on-premise, it is giving the error actually. So in that case, we have to use to export the that particular disk, that particular
VSD files. Correct.
Exactly, VSD, because in the Hyper-V that is VSD, and in the you can say that VMware
that is not an OVA.
Exactly, and VSDX and that particular disk.
Correct.
So in that scenario, we have to export the .vsd file, and then it's to be we have the different tools available to convert into the respective operating system, respective disk that will be supported in the whatever the environment where we want this disk to be utilized.
Correct. Yes,
yeah, like so Veeam, we can use Veeam also for that, right?
Yeah,
we can use
any
Veeam
environment from where you want.
But there are different tools which are available on Microsoft Azure as well,
exactly.
which you can check on Microsoft Azure migration service. Yeah. So migration service, basically you will get different tools which you have to purchase basically. So and based on that tool, you would be able to migrate your cloud infrastructure to on-premise, on-premise to cloud, correct? And whatever readiness will be there, like as Ashwini said, like we have to export disk first, just because in Microsoft we have VHD disk. And if you are going to migrate on VMware, it means on VMware it supports VSDX, correct? And OVA file sometimes it supports when it comes to disk, correct? So you have to export that. This would be the process. So readiness you will get through the tools basically.
Right. We have used Veeam for that purpose, creating some jobs like migrating servers from on-premise to Azure or anywhere else. Like we have been using from P2V as well. I mean, physical to
so
virtual.
Again, it depends on you and your project requirement. Based on that, you can choose any tool, correct?
Yeah. We do need to have some license tool actually for this purpose when it comes to an organization. Yeah.
So which you will get on Azure migration service. Like if you will search here, migration, Azure migrate. So migrate tab, so here you will get different options. Like you can see, server database apps. So you need to choose one tool. You need to configure this infrastructure. You need to create a project first, correct? Then it will give you a tools options. So you have to select which tool you want to use for migration.
Yeah, I'm mostly worried about the database part rather, because if we have certain servers which need to be remediated, then the databases can be copied and they can be used later on other versions.
Again, you will get complete readiness using the tools. Again, how we will, just because when it comes to migrating databases, either homogeneous or heterogeneous, we can do all. But again, we need to use tools to get the assessment first.
Yeah, I'll explore that option. Yeah. Thank you.
Welcome. Anyone else who have any query related to module number 3? So you can ask your question.